ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Saturday and Sunday evening series on exploring Raganuga Bhakti. We are almost at the end of our discussion now on the Raganuga Bhakti, and very few portion is left for discussion from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and which we will be trying to conclude it today. And tomorrow, probably after hearing the wonderful glories of Raga Bhakti and the qualification required to practice Raganuga Bhakti, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy we can enter into Raganuga Bhakti, how Mahaprabhu in his Sankirtan movement helps us to give what he has come to give. So that we will be trying to hear tomorrow. So today I'll just summarize what we discussed in the last class, and then we will start what he has come to give. So that we will be trying to hear tomorrow. So that we can summarize what we discussed in the last class, and then we will continue with the discussion for today. Just one quick discussion which we had in the last to last class is these 5 types of uh, uh, things which a Raganuga Bhakti decides to practice, and he decides to not practice. And we had mentioned, so I had directly not taken it from Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's Ragavartma Chandrika, but I had explained it from Shivram Swami Maharaj notes, these 5, different categories, So just a brief overview, which will help us still to get a better idea. So one is Bhavamaya, Bhava Sambandhi, Bhava Anukul, Bhava Avirodha, Bhava Pratikul. Bhava means composed of one's bhava, Sambandhi means related to one's bhava, Anukul is favorable, Avirodha means not incompatible with one's bhava, and Pratikul is things opposed to one's bhava. So Bhava Sambandhi, Bhava Mai means that which is composed of one's bhava. So I am in Dasya Bhav, so I will follow everything of the Das Bhav. If I'm in Sakya Bhav, I'll follow, the friends of Krishna. So that is composed of one's bhav. And they are attracted to that mood and that rasa. Whereas Bhava Sambandhi is things which are related to one's bhav. And this refers to the five most potent lives of devotion: attachment to serving the lotus feet of the deity, relishing Bhagavatam, associating with like-minded friends, chanting, reciting. These help us to attain our bhava mahi state, the bhava sambandhi. And the bhava anukul are things favorable to one's bhava. These are the practices which are complementary, like observing Ekadasi, Janmashtami, Kartik Vrat, renouncing sense pleasures, worshipping Tulsi Devi, banyan tree, which are some of the limbs of bhakti only itself. And bhava aviruddha means that those not incompatible with one bhava. These are optional or neutral, and it includes wearing deity flowers or stamping the body. And bhava pratikul is they are opposed to one's spontaneous devotion of Vrindavan, such as meditating on Krishna's queens, worshipping with mantra and nyasa. Devotees cultivating bhava should avoid these practices. So this was one small point which one devotee had asked, and he wanted a little clarification. So again, in these few slides, I explained it. And we had discussed these types of Raganuga Bhakti. There is Kamanuga and Sambandhuga. And within that, within Kamanuga, there is Sambhog Ichamai and Tad Tad Bhava Ichatma. So in the last class, we saw these two types of Kamanuga Bhakti, the Sambhog Ichamai and Tad Tad Bhava Ichatmika. So to summarize, in Madhurya Bhav, there are these two types. Sambhog Ichamai Bhakti is characterized by enjoying conjugally with Krishna. Tad Bhav Ichatmika Bhakti is characterized by desiring the sweet mood of the love of the Kama Rupa Siddha devotees. And especially this refers to Srimati Radharani. So here, just to give a hint, the Manjari Bhav, the gopis, who are lesser in age compared to the Sakis, they relish the mood of Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna, and they consider themselves as the servants of Srimati Radharani, and they directly don't give conjugal pleasure to Krishna. So this is what is Tat Tad Bhav Ichatmika, and this is considered very, very superior compared to Sambhoga Icha Mai Bhakti. So this is where we had finished our discussion in the last class. So let us now continue our discussion. After these, Kamanoga divisions, let us see what is the qualification for Kamanoga Bhakti. We had discussed about qualification for Raganuga Bhakti, and we had discussed quite in detail what is the qualification for Raganuga Bhakti. Now, what is the qualification for Kamanoga Bhakti now? Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 2, 300. Shri Murtir Madhuryam Preksha Tallilam Nishamyava Tad Bhava Kankshino Yasuyas Teshu Sadhana Tanayo Purane Shruyate Padme Pumsamapi Bhavetiyam. Those who develop longing for the bhava of the gopis, tad bhava akankshino ye. Those who want to develop the bhava of the gopis, bhava akanksha. Akanksha means longing or desire. After seeing the sweetness in the deity of Krishna and the gopis, Shri Murtir Madhurim Preksha. That's why you see in Krishna, in ISKCON temples, there are so many wonderful, beautiful deities like the Radha, Madhav in Mayapur, the Radha Sham Sundar in Vrindavan, the Radha Gopinath. So after seeing the sweetness in the deity of Krishna and the gopis, or after hearing about his pastimes with the gopis, Tat Tal Leelam Nishamyava, hearing the pastimes, are qualified for sadhana of either of these two types of Kamanuga Bhakti. Teshu sadhana tayo suya. So these two types of Kamanuga Bhakti refer to Tat Tat Bhav Ichatmika, Sambhoga Ichatmika and Tat Tat Bhava Ichatmika, these two types. Sambhoga Ichamai Bhakti and Tad Bhava Ichatmika Bhakti. So they become qualified for these two types of Kamanaga Bhakti. In the Padma Puran, it is said, Padma Purani Shruyate, that even men can attain this bhakti. Pumsam api yam bhavet. So the qualification is when we hear, especially see the deity of Krishna with the gopis, especially the Ashtasakis or Radha Krishna also, and when we hear their pastimes, then we are qualified for this. But definitely before this comes the qualification itself for Raganuga Bhakti. First, we should be qualified for Raganuga Bhakti, and within that, the qualification is for Kamanuga Bhakti. Now, let us see what Srila Jiva Goswami has to say about this. Devotees should see the particular sweetness of pastimes through the deity forms of Krishna and his consorts, or hear about the sweetness of their love and pastimes. So when we hear the pastimes, especially by pure devotees who speak Krishna Katha and the 10th canto, and when we hear that, we are also attracted, to the gopis' devotion. And this is the path which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give us. This should be very, very clear to us. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajvadu Vargena Ya Kalpita. Previously, only hearing and remembering after hearing was mentioned. So previously only hearing was mentioned, and later on hearing, remembering. After hearing, you should remember now was mentioned. The intention is to show that in the act of seeing, the assistance of hearing is also necessary. So our path is to hear. Shruta Ikshita, that is the word which is used in the Bhagavatam. Shruta Ikshita. Shruta means to hear, Ikshita means to see. So only when we hear about the pastimes of the wonderful dealings of the Vrajvasis with Krishna, we become attracted. And when we go and take that darshan of the deities, we are not just seeing with our eyes, we are seeing with our eyes what we have heard. So that is what is called as Shruta Ikshita. And this principle is a universal principle. Suppose you hear about one person, his character is very bad, so many wrong things you hear. So you develop a kind of mentality against him. And when you see him, and maybe you'll see, oh, this person, when I'm seeing him, you remember whatever you have heard. So you'll see with the eyes of hearing. Shravana Deka. In Bengali, Prabhupada in one of his lectures, he says, Shravana Deka, means by hearing we see. So that is why the act of seeing is the assistance of hearing is also necessary. Without hearing, there will be no manifestation of the basic forms and pastimes. So without hearing, hearing is so important. So without hearing, this will not happen. Hearing about Krishna and the gopis, even without seeing, is also effective. So just hearing about Krishna and the gopis, even if we don't see, is highly effective. Now, I want to ask the devotees here, you can type in the chat box, especially devotees who have a little bit aware of Krishna's 10th canto pastimes. Where in the 10th canto is an example of devotees who heard about only Krishna and attained, the same love for Krishna, where it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which pastime brings forth this? Which is the pastime? You can type your answer in the chat box. There are two examples at least, but I'm looking for the Vrindavan pastime examples. One devotee has answered, which is very famous, that is Rukmini. But again, Rukmini is in Aishwarya Bhav. She's queen of Dwarka. And that is not favorable for Kamanuga Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti. So Rukmini just heard the glories of Krishna from Narad Muni, and right from her childhood she was hearing, and she had developed pure attraction and love for Krishna. She had never seen Krishna in her life. And we also, if we don't see Krishna, but just by hearing about Krishna, we will develop that love. Why? Because it is the natural attraction of the soul towards the Supreme Soul. So where is another example from the Bhagavatam, from the Vrindavan pastimes? I would like to know. Anyone? They can type on the chat box. Anyone else knows? Prahlad Maharaj doesn't come in the seventh canto. I'm asking about the 10th canto. I'm asking about the 10th canto. 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone else would like to try? Akrura again is not a Raga Bhakta. He's not part of the Ragatmika Bhaktas. Yes, there is this answer, Brahman Patnis. The Brahman Patnis are the proof for this. In fact, it is mentioned that the Brahman Patnis were just staying a little outskirts of the Vraj. And usually Krishna was performing his pastimes in Vraj with the gopis. And in those times, and today also it is there, today because of the COVID, the vegetables come to your house now. You need not go to the market. So the elderly ladies of Vraj, they used to see these pastimes, and in Braj, in the local folk, songs were famous about whatever pastime Krishna is to perform, immediately the poets used to compose there and the Vraj gopis used to sing these bhajans of Krishna's pastimes. So these elderly gopis or elderly ladies who used to sell vegetables and fruits, they used to go to sell house to house and they used to narrate these pastimes. And the Brahman Patnis, just hearing about these pastimes, they had developed love for Krishna. And Krishna knew this, and that is why he wanted to bless them by giving his darshan. And that is why Krishna and his friends once went to this outskirts place, and he first sent his friends to go and, they are doing these yagyas. I am the Yageshwar, just go and ask that we are hungry. So when the friends of Krishna very innocently and sincerely went and asked those who were doing the yagyas, they said, no, we are doing this yagya for Yageshwar, we cannot give. They did not realize, that Krishna is the Adi Yagya. But the Brahman Patnis, their wives, although they were chaste, and although the culture did not allow them that, they go and meet Krishna, but they, with all the offerings, came and had darshan of Krishna. And it is said that Krishna was, he had kept his hand on Subal, one left hand, and in the right hand, he was whirling a flower or twisting and turning the flower. So in this pose, they had this darshan of Krishna. Krishna is our real hero. He's our real Nayak. When the gopis, the Brahman Patnis, not the gopis, sorry, the Brahman Patnis had this beautiful darshan of Krishna, they, drank Krishna's beauty through their eyes, and this image went into their hearts, and in their hearts they embraced Krishna because the culture did not allow them. So Krishna, gave them such mercy, and then, he, gave some instructions. These are very beautiful instructions. I don't remember the verse, it is not proper for y'all, your cultured, wives of the Brahmanas. So you should go back. And just by my hearing, where he says that verses are very beautiful verse, you can develop love for me. So this is the importance of hearing. It's very, very important that we hear Krishna Katha. Hearing about Krishna and the Gopis, even without seeing, is also effective, as Jiva Goswami is saying. These persons develop longing for the bhav of the gopis and thus become qualified sadhyata for these two types of sadhana. So which are the two types of sadhana? There is sambhog ichamai and tad bhava ichatmika. So they become qualified. Now another point from the Padma Puran, it was mentioned, even males can aspire for the mood of the gopis. So this is being given or a reference in two verses Rup Goswami is mentioning in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sundar. Pura maharshaya sarve dhandakaranyavasina drishtva ramam harim tatra bhoktum aichan savigraham te sarve stritvam apanna samudbhutascha goloke harim samprapya kamena tato muktva pavarnavat. Pura, previously, all the sages living in Dandakaranya forest, Sarve Dandakaranya Vasi Maharshaya, after seeing Lord Ram, Društva Ramam Harim Tatra, desired enjoyment with his form, Bhoktum Aichim Suvigraham, attained forms of women, Te Sat Sarve Stritvam Apanna, and appeared in Gokul, Sambhutas Cha Gokule, attaining the Lord by that calm. Harim Samprapya Kamena. So here calm is pure love. Again, we should understand when the word calm is used in Chaitanya Charitamrita or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is pure love with no tinge of any sense gratification. Became liberated from the ocean of material world. Tato Mukta Bhava Arnavat. Bhava means this ocean, Arna means the, Bhavarnava, as it is mentioned. So they became liberated from this ocean of material existence. The sages refer to all those sages who had desires following the gopis of Krishna and Gokul. So these sages were following in the footsteps of the gopis. So they were practicing Raganuga sadhana, the sages of Dandakaranya Rishi. Seeing Rama, they desired to enjoy with him when he would appear in the future in the beautiful form of Krishna. Thus they asked for this boon in their minds. They saw Rama, but when they saw Ram, they saw him as Krishna because based on the mood of worship, that is the object Krishna will manifest. It is all based on the mood. Krishna's future appearance was well known to the learned from the scriptures. So they knew that Krishna is going to appear in the future. So they knew about it. After obtaining a silent broom from Ram, who acts as a desire tree, Kalpavriksha, they attained bodies of women in the wombs of gopis in a different region. They were then born from these gopis, who then moved to Nand Gokul, famous everywhere as Gokul. So they attained bodies, they were born from the gopis' bodies, they were born and they moved there to Gokul. Due to their karma alone, they attained the Lord in the form of attractive Krishna and later attained liberation from material ocean. So as I was mentioning that when sadhakas, attain siddhi, the sadhana sharir becomes siddha, it becomes completely purified, but still to attain the higher levels of prema is not possible even in the siddha body. So when they give up this body, they are given chance to take birth in Krishna's pastimes. They take birth in the wombs of the gopis, and according to their mode of worship, either it is Madhurya or Dasya or Sakya or Vatsalya, They will take birth there, participate in Krishna's pastimes, further get some fine tuning training of how to, serve Krishna in the spiritual world. They then, along with the Lord, go back to the spiritual world. So this is the process. And Srila Prabhupada many times in his lecture also brings up this. Now, further, Jiva Goswami gives a quotation. These gopis, sadhana siddha, they are called as sadhana siddha. By doing sadhana, they attained siddhi, are indicated in the following verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Antargraha gata kaschid gopyo labda vinirgama krishnam tad bhavana yukta dadyur milita lochana. Some of the gopis, however, kaschid gopya, could not manage to get out of their homes. Alabda vinirgama, and instead they remained at home. Antaragraha gata, with eyes closed, milita lochana, meditating upon him. Krishnam dadyo, in pure love. Tad bhavana yukta. So this is part of the, Ras Leela pastimes when Krishna first time in the Vamsi Vata on the Purnima night, he played his flute on the fifth note, and all the gopis of Vrindavan, they left everything. Some were attending to their husbands, some were feeding their children. Whatever duties they were doing, they just got attracted to the flute of Krishna and they all came to this Vamsivat. But it is mentioned that some of the gopis, Kashit Gopya, as it is mentioned, were stopped by their relatives. They were blocked by their, father-in-law, mother-in-law, or husbands. And there was a little kind of, you can say, a kind of maryada which was left within them, So they had to stay back. And when they stayed back, it is mentioned that they were feeling deep pangs of separation from Krishna because Krishna's flute was calling them. And they just closed their eyes and went into deep meditation with Krishna. And there were small traces, maybe 0.000001, that traces which were left, material contamination, all that traces were eradicated by this meditation. And then they gave up that material portion of their body, and in their spiritual bodies, they went actually. And there was another body which was at home also. So this is also mentioned. These are some finer details. So this is how there are finer purifications of the sadhana siddhs happen in Krishna Leela. These gopis meditating in separation became completely purified and attained full spiritual bodies. With these bodies, they attained Krishna's association in the Ras Leela. Yes. I was not sure when I was speaking this, but definitely, Jiva Goswami writes a note here, in the commentary itself. Okay, so this is clear now. Any questions you have regarding what we discussed up till now? Any clarifications? Any questions or any clarifications? Fine. So now, after understanding that even males can, they can develop the Gopi Bhav, then destination of a Vaidhi Sadhaka who worships Vrindavan Krishna in conjugal love. Now please understand this. He is a Vaidhi Sadhaka. From Vaidhi Sadhaka, he doesn't go to practice Raganuga Sadhaka. He doesn't practice Raganuga Sadhana. But he's a Vaidhi Sadhaka, but he's still the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu mentions in the next verse now. Just a second, the internet connection seems to be slow here, so let me connect to another source. Okay, fine. Riram Sam Shushta Kurvan Yo Vedi Margena Sevate kevalanaiva sastada mahishitam iyat pure. A person who serves on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, yaha Vaidhi Margena Sevate, with the desire for conjugal relationship with the Lord. Re Ramsam. I don't know actually in Sanskrit how Re Ramsam is conjugal relationship, but we accept the translation and explanation given by the acharyas. So he practices Vaidhi Bhakti, but with a desire for conjugal relationship, that is Madhurya Bhav. And a high position, this is very important. Shushta Kurvan, he wants a high position, but without desire for the gopis type of love. Kevala Naiva. After some time, Satada becomes the queen in Dwarka. Mahishatvam Iyat Pure. So here is a very interesting point to be noted that after we practice Raganuga Bhakti, uh, to practice Raganuga Bhakti, we have to be exclusively attracted to the Vrajvasis, be it any mode, be it Madhurya, Sakya, Vatsalya Das. If we continue with Vaidhi Bhakti, still with the desire of conjugal relationship with the Lord, and there is a high position. High position refers to worshipping the Lord in the Aishwarya Bhav. But without the desire of the gopis type of love, then we will not attain Vrindavan Krishna. But, we'll attain becoming a queen of Dwarka. This is, Swakya Ras it is called. So let us see this chart now. What about a Vaidhi Sadhaka who desires conjugal relationship? So with Vaidhi Sadhana, he'll attain Vaidhi Bhav and then Vaidhi Prem and ultimately Dwarka queens. But with Raganuga Sadhana, following the Vrajvasis, he will attain Raganuga Utta Bhav. Utta means, which brings forth. Then Raganuga Utta Prem and then Vrindavan Gopis. So this is how fine the discussion is going on. Now let us see what Jiva Goswami has to say. Just a second, I will just animate the slides. Okay. This person serves according to the path of Vaidhi, but with the desirous of an amorous relation, Re Ram Sam, with Krishna, but not with the quality of the gopis' love, but with not the qualities of the gopis' love. So this is, the situation. The word Shushtu, excellent, indicates that the desire is tinged with the bhav like that of a queen of Dwarka, rather than with the conjugal bhav of a maid servant. So trying to become a queen, Rani. So there is Aishwarya Bhav tinged. And we all know in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, uh, he spent the 4 months of Chaturmas in Sri Rangam. And the Ranganath head pujari is Venkata Bhatta. And he had discussions with Venkata Bhatta. Who is supreme, Krishna or Narayan? Venkat Bhatt said, both are the absolute truth, both are supreme. Then he says, your, mistress, that is, Lakshmi Devi, she's the consort of Narayan. Then why did she, do tapasya in Vrindavan to attain Krishna? So there is something superior of Krishna. So Venkat Bhatt said, these things are beyond my capacity to understand. You only explain. So then Krishna explained, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained how Krishna has these 64 qualities. Krishna's pastimes, especially of Vrindavan, are very, very sweet, filled with Madhurya. Whereas Lakshmi is in Aishwarya Bhav, as the consort of Narayan or the queens of Dwarka are in Aishwarya Bhav. They have knowledge that Krishna is supreme. So Lakshmi Devi, although she practiced tapasya in Vrindavan on the banks of Yamuna to attain the same mood of the gopis' love, but yet she could not attain. Why she could not attain? Because she could not give up her Aishwarya Bhav that she is Lakshmi Devi. So she could not give up that, you know. So Vraj Bhakti is very simple for the simple. So she could not give up that. So that is what is the tinge there here mentioned. Serving according to Vaidhi Bhakti, though using mantras for meditating on the love of the gopis, and of course using mantras and procedures for meditating on the love of the queens of Dwarka, they will achieve the bhav of the queens rather than the gopis. So you are practicing Vaidhi Bhakti and you are using mantras which indicate Vrindavan Krishna. So there are, this Archana Paddhati, especially there are certain mantras which, are for invoking the Gopi Vav. Like, the example is given, Klim Krishnaya Gopi Janna Vallabhaya, So this is one of the mantras which is chanted. So although you are chanting the mantras which are, in the mood of the Gopi Bhav, but you're also, along with that, meditating on the queens of Dwarka. So that is why you will attain the bhav of the queens rather than the gopis. Kevalena, without having desires for a relationship in Vraj. So they do all this worship of the deity, even or the mantras, chanting, but they have, the service without the desire for a relationship in Vraj. Thus, when they perform service in Vaidhi Bhakti, desiring a conjugal relationship without the desire for a relationship like that of the gopis, Kevalena, Keval means exclusively for the gopis, they attain the status of follower of the queens in Dwarka. So this is how they attain as the queens in Dwarka. The queens of Dwarka in the Avarna Puja, secondary worship after worshipping Krishna using the 10 syllable mantra. I explained the 10 syllable mantra. So they have this respect for the queens of Dwarka, Rukmini Krishna, So they cannot give up that Aishwarya, mood of worship. So even they worship Sham Sundar Krishna, but they also worship Rukmini Krishna. So that mood is there. So that is why, because they have this respect, they attain this status sometime in the future after some delay, tada, but not as quickly as in Raganuga Bhakti. So here is another thing we noted, that this kind of Aishwarya as Raganuga Bhakti, following the footsteps of the gopis, you will achieve quickly. So please do understand, the highest aspiration which Mahaprabhu is giving us to practice Braj Bhakti to the most fallen souls just by this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. To attain Vaikuntha is not easy, not to what to speak, to even attain liberation, which the Jnanis practice, their sadhana is very, very strenuous. For years and years, they should practice tapasya in the renounced order of the life. And it is a multi-lifetime process, and after they have completely perfectly executed their sadhana, in which bhakti is also one small limb, by the strength of that bhakti, ultimately, because of their intense desire to attain liberation, they attain liberation after many, many lifetimes, many, many births. Bahunam janmanamante, as it is mentioned. So that is the path. So even the Aishwarya gives, the result after some delay, but Raganuga is very quick. That is what Jiva Goswami is saying. Now, somehow by mistake, I have not, in the slides, I have not done the animation. So give me a second, please. If you have any questions, you can ask. Any questions, any clarifications you have about till now what we discussed? Any questions? Okay, Vishwanath Chakur Thakur goes into now more detail to explain about this. Though the sentence is in masculine gender, it refers to people in general, men or women. So the verse was mentioned, if you see, yah means it might refer to masculine, but it is referring to both. That's what he says. Even though a person develops a strong desire for a conjugal relationship with Krishna, if that person thinks that giving up all the rules in the scripture is improper and unfavorable for nourishing his sentiments, then he attains the position of being an associate of the queens in Dwarka. Either an associate or the queen also. The queen's maid servants, as I understand, So he's not able to give up the rules of the scripture. We very clearly understood in our discussion, Ragamukti is impelled by only one thing, love. Love to attain the Vrajvasi mood, you know, the rules of the scriptures. So he is impelled still by the rules of the scripture, and he feels that, oh, I cannot give up the rules of scriptures. It is unfavorable for my nourishment of bhava, sentiments. So then what will happen? He'll attain the queens of Dwarka. So I had mentioned here in the chart, if you see, he does Vaidhi sadhana, then he develops the Vaidhi bhav, and then Vaidhi prem. So that's how it happens. Kevaleneva indicates completely, that much. Does he completely follows the rules of Vaidhi bhakti without rejecting any portions such as meditation on dharka? So he is not able to give up, rejecting which are bhav pratikul. That is what meditation in Dwarka is, bhav pratikul for Raganuga bhakti and to attain Vraj. So he's not able to reject that. He still maintains that sentiment and mode and worships Krishna in his Aishwarya form. Now devotees might ask, we are practicing Vraj Bhakti, our attraction is to Sham Sundar, Radha and Krishna, Yugal, the Yugal Murtis. So we sometimes go to, other holy places like Pandharpur, have darshan of Rukmal Vittini, Rukmini Vittal, or down in Sri Rangam, Ranganath. So then how do we, see that, we should not get attracted to these deities? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that wherever I go and take darshan of the different forms of Krishna, I see them as Sham Sundar Krishna. So even when I see Narayan with Lakshmi, I should remember Radha and Krishna. When I have Ranganath Krishna, when I see Ranganath, I should remember Sham Sundar Krishna. So that is the mood we should have darshan also of these deities when we go to other holy places, and we should not think that we are so advanced that no, we will not have darshan of these deities. It is not favorable for a mood. We have darshan, but we remember Radha Krishna. So that is how we should, practice. This is signified by the word eva. Kevala means exactly. Eva means exactly. Exactly they follow these rules of the Vaidhi Bhakti. Amar Kosha definition of Kevalam is Nirnite Kevalam iti Trilingam tu Eka Krishnayo. Kevalam has a sense of fixing or ascertaining. Rules exactly, not rejecting anything. So Kevala means, oh, it is being given in the rules of the scriptures, I will follow all these rules. Exactly, and he will not reject anything. So that is why he's not able to give up the Aishwarya mode of worship. Those who have a desire to taste the sweetness of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, but worship according to Vaidhi Bhakti using Nyas and Mudras, do not attain Krishna in Dwarka with Rukmini because they do not have that aspiration. Nor can they attain Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan because they lack the worship on the path of Rag. Therefore, since they have a predominance of awareness of Krishna as the Lord, there is Aishwarya Gyan in worship. According to the path of rules, Vidhi, they attain Radha and Krishna in a portion of Vrindavan called Golok, in correspondence to their worship. So here Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is speaking something very deep. Let us try to understand what Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is saying. So he is worshipping Krishna, but there is knowledge, Aishwarya Gyan. He's following the rules, it is not impelled by Rag. And they attain, he's saying not Krishna in Dwarka with Rukmini, but Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan called Golok in correspondence to that worship. So there is a Golok which is called as Aishwarya Golok. And there is a Golok which is called as Madhurya Golok, where there is the Vrajvasis, the gopis who worship out of pure spontaneity. So this now he is going to establish from the Bhagavatam itself. Now let us see how it is established. Kindly hear very carefully. It is understood that they do not attain the Vrindavan of pure sweetness, as I mentioned, pure Madhurya they don't attain. Srila Rup Goswami has praised this Golok as a portion of Vrindavan in Stavamala. So in Rup Goswami in Stavamala has mentioned about this. Loko Ramya Kopi Vrindata Nasti Kwaptitya Anjasa Bandhu Vargam Vaikuntam Yaha Shushta Sandrasho Bhuya Ghoshtam Ninne Patu Satvam Mukunda. After thoroughly showing Vaikunta to his friends and relatives, Vaikuntam Yaha Shushta Sandarsho Bhuya, with ease he brought them back to Vrindavan. Goshtam Ninya Patu Satvam Mukunda. Mukunda brought, back them to Vrindavan. Since that place did not have pleasant inhabitants or a Vrindavan. Because that lok which Krishna showed to the Vrindavan Vasis did not have that sweetness, madhurya of what they were experiencing actually there. So, and there were no inhabitants of Vrajvasis there. May that Mukunda protect me. Let him protect me. So this is from the Stavamala. So let us now, based on this verse of Rup Goswami Stavamala, let us see from the Bhagavatam how this is proved. The word Vaikunta in this verse means Krishna's Vaikunta Golok, the place where Krishna resides with majesty. So in Golok, there is a certain portion where Krishna resides in majesty that is called as Vaikunta Golok. And there is Vrindavan Golok, which is completely pure Madhurya. In the 10th canto, it has been described how Krishna took all the cowherd men to Golok, a Vaikunta, place of majesty belonging to Krishna, in order to illustrate the special sweetness of Vrindavan to them. In fact, Krishna wanted to prove that what place we are residing is pure Madhurya. And let my eternal associates appreciate that. So he showed them another Golok, which is called as Vaikunta Golok. And when they saw this, they did not like it. Why? Because it lacked that sweetness. There was some Madhurya there. The Aishwarya was there. So they do not like it. And they realized, this is superior, where we are, with Krishna. So let us see this verse from 10th canto, 28th chapter, verse 14. After hearing the request of the cowherd men about, Vrindavan or Vaikunta, thus deeply considering the situation, Iti Sanchasya Bhagavan, the all-merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, Bhagavan Mahakarunika Hari, revealed to the cowherd men his own abode. Darshayam Asam Lokam Swam. Swam means his own abode. Gopanam Tamasa Param, which is beyond material darkness. So, Krishna deliberated the situation out of mercy. He gave them darshan to his cowherd men, his own abode, which is beyond tamasa. Let us see the next verse. Tetu Brahma Hardam Nita Magna Krishnena Chodrita Dadrashur Brahmano Lokam Yatra Kruro Adagatpura. The cowherd men were brought by Lord Krishna to Brahmaharda. Brahmaharda is a portion where Akrur also had, taken bath, and he had darshan of Krishna in his Aishwarya majesty, and he offered his prayers. So, similarly, Krishna took all the cowherd to Brahmaharda, where Akrura had gone prior to the Bhagavatam narration, and were submerged in the water and then lifted up. So he submerged them and lifted up. The cowherd men then saw the abode of the Lord. So then they had this darshan. Nandadayastu tvam drishtva paramananda nirvita Krishnam cha tatra chandobhi stuyamanam suvismita. So there, what did they saw in that darshan? Nanda Maharaj and other cowherd men felt a great happiness. Nanda dayastu tvam drishtva paramananda nirvita, when they saw that transcendental abode. They were especially amazed to see Krishna himself there. Krishna was there in that abode, surrounded by personified Vedas. Krishnam cha tatra chandobi stuyamanam. Stuyamanam is they were, offering him prayers. So nobody in Vrindavan offers prayers to Krishna. Prayers are in Aishwarya Bhav. It doesn't mean that we don't offer prayers. We should offer all the prayers right from Bhagavatam first canto till the 12th canto. But the prayer offering is more in the Aishwarya Bhav. So the personified Vedas were offering prayers in glorification of Krishna, how Krishna is great, So the greatness of Krishna is glorified in those chandas. So the cowherd men saw this. Now the explanation becomes clear as to what darshan these cowherd men were having was of Golok, another part of Golok, which is Aishwarya Golok, where Krishna is there. Brahmano Lokam, planet of Brahman, described in 10:28:16, is the Golok planet of Krishna, where the Supreme Brahman in human form. So in 10:16, this is the verse 10:16, Brahmano Lokam. So this Brahmana Lokam is, it is Golok, planet of Krishna. It is not Vaikuntha planet with Lakshmi. The Bhagavatam verse 10:28:14 says that Krishna showed to them Swam Lokam, his own planet. So another point is, because in the Vaikuntha planet, Krishna is, Narayan is in Chaturvyuha. But in Golok planet, Krishna is in two-handed form. Right? So that also proves that it is Swam Lokam refers to his own planet. Krishna does not have a planet of Vaikuntha with Lakshmi. So this is also another important point. Verse 10:28:17 describes Krishna being praised by the Vedas. It is impossible that there would be a pastime of Krishna in Lakshmi's Vaikuntha. So Lakshmi and Narayan are in, Aishwarya Bhav, So you cannot have Lakshmi Krishna, So this is Rasabas. This is called as Rasabas, So only Radha Krishna. Radha and Krishna are in same mood, That is Madhurya. So Lakshmi and Krishna, Vaikuntha is not possible. Thus, Brahmana Lokam refers to a planet of Krishna, not Vishnu, called Golok with majesty, Aishwarya Golok. It is Aishwarya Golok. This is explained in Vaishnava Toshini and in Lagu Bhagavatamrit. Vaishnava Toshini is a commentary on the 10th canto by Sanatan Goswami. Srila Prabhupada in his Chaitanya Charitamrit, in few of the places, explains that one who wants to relish Krishna Leela, the 10th canto, should especially study Sanatan Goswami's Vaishnava Toshini, because the subtle, fine aspects of Krishna Leela, Sanatan Goswami is actually in his inner heart, he is having the darshan, which is called as Leela Spurti, and he is describing these pastimes. With the words Tattu Golok Nama Swat, Tatcha Golok Vaibhavam. What is called Golok is Gokul with a majestic aspect. Golok Vaibhav. Vaibhav is what? Aishwarya. Aishwarya Golok. So, Vaishnava Toshini as well as Laghu Bhagavatamrit of Rupa Goswami, confirm this explanation. Also in that book, Laghu Bhagavatamrit, it is said, Tad Atma Vaibhavatvam Cha Tasya Tan Mahi Mannataye. Gokul's form of majesty, Golok, arises from showing great powers. So what? Vaibhaktam. So there are powers exhibited. Krishna doesn't exhibit his powers in Vrindavan. Although he shows, but nobody, focuses on that. Krishna is lifting the Govardhan, but nobody considers Krishna as God. That is the beauty in Vraj Bhakti, which is filled with pure Madhurya. Though it is a divergence from the topic, the meaning is this. What is called Golok, Yad Golok Nama, is but a majesty of Gokul. Gokul Vibhavam. Gokul is known for its supreme sweetness. So the Gokul in Vrindavan is filled with pure sweetness, pure Madhurya. Golok is a portion of Gokul which displays majesty. Thus, Tad Atma Vaibhatvam means Gokul's majestic aspect. So there is the Aishwarya Gokul and the Madhurya Gokul. But a majestic aspect of Gokul because Golok displays a superior position. Gokul displays a superior position. In the Patala Kanda of the Padma Puran, it is said, Aho Madhupuri Dhanya Vaikuntad Apigaryasi Dhinam Ekam Nivasena Haro Bhakti Prajayate. Auspicious Gokul, Madhupuri, is superior to Golok, Vaikuntat. By staying there for only one day, Dinam Ekam, sorry, not Dinam Ekam, Nivasena, devotion to Lord arises. Haro Bhakti Prajayate. So this is the glory of what? Gokul. Now this Gokul which is mentioned, see in Vrindavan, Krishna took birth where? Now this is my question to y'all. Krishna took birth where? You can all answer in the chat box. Where did Krishna take his birth? All of you are here with me? Where did Krishna actually take his birth? Okay, there is one answer. Mathura, Mathura, Mathura. Mathura. Any other answers? I would like to hear from others also. Mathura jail. Okay. More specific it is. Mathura jail. Karagra. Comes ka Karagra mein. Deviki Krishna in Mathura. Okay, there is one answer from Govinda Prabhuji. But as per Brajvasis, Nand Maharaj house. Okay, as per Brajvasis. Not even as per Brajvasis, as per the Shastras also. Actually, the confidential, discussion is there in the scripture named, I'm not able to recollect, Harivamsha. Yes. So Krishna simultaneously took birth in Mathura, that is as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Also Krishna simultaneously took birth in Gokul, Mahavan. Gokul Mahavan, what we call, is also part of Mathura. It is called as Gokul of Mathura. And there he took birth as, the son of Mother Yashoda and Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And the whole pastime is, this Krishna is Sham Sundar Krishna. And when Vasudev Krishna, after offering praise, both Vasudeva and Devaki offered praise because they knew that he is Bhagwan, then he told, take me to Gokul. So Vasudev Krishna took, Krishna crossed the Yamuna river, and there by Yogamaya, he could not understand that there was also Krishna as well as a baby girl. The baby girl is Yogamaya. And the Mathura Krishna was born, he merged into Gokul Krishna. And Vasudev picked up the baby girl. And this Yogamaya, when he crossed the river and came back to Mathura, she became Mahamaya, Durga, personified form of material energy. And she became very famous. The verses where she will be known as, Bhadra, Kali, Chandika. So original form of Krishna is two-founded form, that is Vrindavan Krishna, Vraj Krishna. And all other forms, even the Aishwarya Golok is also Krishna, but his source is also the Madhurya Krishna, because that is why, Krishna in his sweetness as having 64 qualities, Akhila Rasamrita Murti, he is the original form of Krishna. So that is how we should be having this clear understanding. And this now is coming forth in this text of, Aho Madhupuri is superior to Golok. So here it is not superior to Vaikuntha, it is Golok here. By staying there only for one day, devotion to Hari arises. The word Vaikuntad in this verse means more than majestic Golok, rather than more than Vaikuntha. So this is the explanation. Because it is quoted by Rupa Goswami in Laghu Bhagavatamrit, to illustrate the greater portion of Gokul in comparison to Golok. So this is the Aishwarya portion. Laghu Bhagavatamrit explains that Mathura has two parts, Gokul and the city of Mathura. Gokul has the majestic part called Golok. Thus Madhupuri refers to Gokul as well as the city of Mathura. So Madhupuri can refer to the city of Mathura and the Gokul Mahavan where Krishna took his birth. Shyam Sundar Krishna. So this is how we can understand. And within, there is Golok, there is these two divisions, the Aishwarya and the Madhurya division. So the Madhurya Golok division is Vrindavan or Gokul, where Krishna performs his sweet pastimes. So I hope this was clear. In the text, the word tada then indicates at some time, even with some delay, not quickly, as the attainment through Raganuga Bhakti. So here again the point is emphasized, by Raganuga Bhakti we can attain quickly Shyam Sundar Krishna, Vraj Krishna. So I hope this discussion was clear. Anyone has any clarifications or doubts? If you're clear, you can type in the chat box as to, you're clear about this discussion about this Aishwarya Golok and Madhurya Golok or Gokul. I hope it is clear to all of you. Any questions do you have regarding this? Then we can go to the next discussion now. Okay. So let us now okay, there is something on the chat box. Okay, fine. Now having understood this fine divisions, but forget about the Swakiya Ras. In Madhurya there is Swakiya and Parikya. Swakiya are the queens of Dwarka. And even if you're worshipping Vrindavan Krishna, but with Vaidhi rules only, with the conjugal desire, then you'll attain, Golok in majestic portion, So this understanding, this fine understanding, we should be fixed in worshipping Shyam Sundar Krishna, following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kachita Upasana. So much, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has emphasized in this verse very, very clearly. So we should be very, very, clear. So there is a question here, Brahma Lokam and Swama Loka, one and the same. Yes. See, the terms Brahma Lokam can refer to Brahma's loka, that is, Satyaloka, based on the context in the verse. It can refer to also the spiritual world. So Brahma Loka to Sanatama. When Brahma Loka to Sanatama refers, it refers to the spiritual world. But now in this context in the verse, Brahma Loka Swam is mentioned. Krishna's own Brahma Loka. Then it refers to Krishna's two-handed Loka. That is Golok, but in his majestic feature. So the terms don't have fixed, meanings. The meanings the verses spoken. So Brahmalok can refer to Brahma's planet, Satyalok. It can refer to the Vaikuntha planets, Brahmaloka to Sanatanam. It can refer to Krishna's Golok Aishwarya planet, when the verse says Krishna showed his own planet, Swam. So that is how we have to understand. Any other questions do you have? I hope this answer is clear to Mataji. Any other questions? Okay. So now, having understood that we should exclusively worship Krishna following in the footsteps of gopis, here are some instructions. These are called as the splendid instructions to the mind. Sri Manashiksha by Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami is our Prayojan Acharya. Prayojan means the goal. So our goal is to worship Shyam Sundar Krishna following in the footsteps of the gopis. So in few verses, he very much emphasizes to worship only Vraja Krishna. So let us hear these verses and let us meditate on these verses. So this is the first verse. Guru Goshte Goshtaleshu Sujane Busuragane Swamantre Srinamne Vrajanava Yuvadvanda Sharane Sadadambam Hitva Kururatima Purvati Taram Aiswantar Bratushchatu Birabhiya Chedrita Pada. Raghunath Das Goswami is giving instructions to his mind. Oh dear brother, Bhrata means brother. Oh mind, I swa antara Bhrata. Bhrata is brother and he is addressing swa antara, my own inside. That is the mind. I means to, offer with, deep gratitude or humility. I, Deen Dayal, like that. So he is giving instructions to his mind, having given up all pride, sada dambam hitva. So he's telling the mind, first give up your pride, because pride, as long as pride is there in the heart, you cannot attain, the treasure of Krishna Prem also. You don't develop that humility also to attain Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana. Please develop, Kuru, unprecedented and excessive attachment. Rati means attachment. Apurvam. Apurvam means unprecedented, not heard before. Atitaram. Atitaram means excessive. So two adjectives he is using for this kind of rati, attachment. Unprecedented and excessive. To whom? He explains 7 items. Guru. Guru refers to Sri Guru. This refers to, the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Gurus also. First to Vrindavan. You develop deep attachment, excessive attachment only to Vrindavan and not any other dham. To the Vrajvasis. So first our attachment in Vrindavan should be to Vrajvasis. Next to all the Vaishnavas. So in Vrindavan, there are Vaishnavas who are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. There are also Sri Sampradaya Vaishnavas who must be there. There are Brahmanas who must be also Vaishnavas. There are other Madhva Vaishnavas also. So all worshippers of Vishnu are there who are called as Vaishnavas. So you have first attachment to Vaishnavas, to all the Vaishnavas, sorry, Vrajvasis, then all Vaishnavas, to the Brahmanas. Goshtaleshu. Goshtaleshu refers to those who are the Vrajvasis. Sujane refers to the Vaishnavas. Bhusuragane refers to the Brahmanas. So have attachment to Guru, Goshta, Goshtaleshu, Sujane, Bhusuragane. Then to the confidential mantra given by Sri Guru. So this refers to, Swa mantra and Sri Namne. Sri Nam refers to the holy names of Sri Radhakrishna, and confidential mantra refer to the confidential mantras which are given during second initiation, the Gopal mantra, or any mantras which are given, and to the process of surrender to the fresh youthful couple of Vraja. Vraja Nava Yuva. So the fresh youthful Nava Yuva. Dvanda means, here it is not dualities, here it is, Radha and Krishna. Sharane means to surrender, the process of surrender. So here it is very clear that our worshipable Lord is Radha. Holding your feet, he is telling his mind, I'm holding your feet. I beseech you with sweet words. Chattu means, with sweet words. Abhi yache, I'm yachana, I'm doing yachana. So here Raghunath Das Goswami is making, how we should have deep attachment to these 7 atoms, and our worshipable Lord should be Vraja, Radha, Krishna. And all these attachments will come up when we'll be able to give up pride. So this is a long discussion in Manasiksha, but just briefly I'm explaining. Now Raghunath Das Goswami in the next verse says, Na dharmam Shruti gana niruktam kila kuru Vraje Radha Krishna Prachur paricharyam mihatanu Sachi sunum nandishwar pati sutatve guru varam Mukunda prishtatve smara padam ajasram nanumana. Indeed, Nanu, do not perform, na kilakuru, do not perform what? Any pious acts prescribed in the Vedas and supporting literature. Shruti gana niruktam dharmam, don't practice dharma. Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, what is this? It is shocking. Don't practice dharma, nor or sinful activities forbidden in them. So in Dharma Shastras, if you do this, you will attain piety. If you don't do this, you'll attain impiety. So in Dharma Shastra, this is given. Arjuna is told, if you fight the war, you'll attain heaven. But if you don't take part in the Kshatriya duty, you'll attain hell. So this is what the Dharma Shastras give us. So na dharmam, na adharmam. Don't practice dharma and adharma. Then what? Staying here in Vraja, Iha Vraje, please perform Tanu, profuse service, prachur parichayam to Sri Sri Radha Krishna. So here is the highest parodharma which we should perform. That is worship of Radha and Krishna. So we should not, get entangled in following other scriptures which are mentioned. We should follow the scripture of what is practiced for Vraj Bhakti. So the Bhakti scriptures we should, practice Vraj Bhakti. O mind, Mana, unceasingly remember Ajasram Smara, the son of Sachi. So you have told us to worship Radha and Krishna. What about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is telling, remember the son of Sachi Sunu as the son of Nand Maharaj. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what? The same, the son of Nand Maharaj only. Nandishwara Pati Sutatve. And also, what about Guru? Sri Guru Varam as the dearmost servant of Lord Mukunda. Mukunda Preshtatve. So this is how the spiritual master is also serving Radha and Krishna. So we should remember the spiritual master, remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and worship only Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Yadichera vraja bhuvi saragam pratijano yuvadvandam tachet परिचरितुम् आराडभिलषे स्वरूपं श्रीरूपं सगनम् इह तस्याग्रजम् अपि स्फुटं प्रेम्णा नित्यं स्मरणम तदा त्वां शृणुमन. Listen, O mind, Shrunumana. He's preaching to his mind. If you desire, Tvam Yadi Ichha. If you desire what? In every birth, Prati Janu, to reside in the land of Raja. Raja Bhuvi Avasa. Avas means to reside, Nivas, like Nivas. With loving attachment, Saragam. So Rag refers to also Raganuga Bhakti also here. With attachment, and if you desire to serve, Chet Paricharitum Abhilashe. The youthful couple Sri Radha and Krishna, Tad Yuvadvandam, in close proximity Arad, then clearly remember Tada Sputam Smara and offer obeisances Nama to whom? To Sri Rupa, to Sri Swarupa, to Sri Rupa and his associates in Vrindavan, Saganam Iha, and to Sri Rupa's elder brother, Sri Sanatan, Tasya Agrajam. So here the point is, if you desire to attain the land of Raja, then with deep attachment serve Radha Krishna, and always, remember, it is only by the six Goswamis, practicing the bhakti as practiced by the six Goswamis, following in their footsteps, we can attain Vrindavan, Radha and Krishna. Asadvarta Vrisijmati sarvasya harani kata mukti vyagra nashunu kila sarvatmagilani api tektva lakshmi patirati ito vyamanayanim vraje radha krishno swarati manido tvam bhajamana. So here some of the external obstacles to attain Radha and Krishna, which you have to give up, which you have to completely give up. He is explaining those external things. O mind, mana, abandon, visraja, the prostitute of mundane talks. Asadvarta. Sadvarta means speaking about Krishna Katha. So anything which is not Krishna Katha, that is compared to Asadvarta, and it is a Vaishya, prostitute. So very heavy statement, Raghunath Das Goswami is using. He's comparing mundane talks to prostitute. Who plunders all intelligence, Mati Sarvasya Harani. So just like a prostitute, she takes away the wealth of a person whom she associates. So similarly, Asadvarta, it takes our Mati from Krishna, and our consciousness gets polluted with material consciousness. So Mati Sarvasya Harani, this Asadvarta is like a prostitute. Do not listen at all, na shunukila, to the stories of tigress named Mukti. Don't hear about Mukti Katha, Katha Mukti Vyagra. The Mukti Katha is like the tiger. He's giving some graphical description. Then he's telling, attachment to the husband of Lakshmi, Sri Narayan, Lakshmi Pati Ratim, who only leads one to Vaikuntha. Ito Vyaumanayamani. Vyam refers to the spiritual planet, the Vaikuntha planets, Nayanim. Nayanim means it takes there. Nayana means, eyes. Nayana Pata. Jagannatha Swami, Nayana Pata Gami. Oh Jagannath Swami, let my Nayana eyes always be on the path of seeing your darshan. So similarly, attachment to Narayan and Lakshmi will lead us only to Vaikuntha. So give up that attachment, he's saying. Instead, here in Vrindavan, Braja, serve Shri Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna Tvam Bhaja, who give one the jewel of their own love. Swarati Mani Do. So they give their own love. So 4 verses in Raghunath Goswami's Manashiksha is emphasizing very clearly to worship Radha and Krishna. and some of the confidential attachments we should develop, and some of the things we should give up in these verses. So we should be fixed, in Vraj Bhakti. That is the point. Any questions or any clarifications you have regarding what we discussed in these 4 verses? Okay, so now it's almost time up now, and tomorrow we will be having one class where we will be discussing just a minute, let me see, 360 slides are there, and we are now at 40 slides will be too much. Okay. It is one verse we will take and we will wind up today. Okay. Okay. So I discussed these 4 verses of Manashiksha. Now, it was mentioned that if one practices Vaidhi Bhakti towards Sham Sundar Krishna, but he doesn't give up the Aishwarya Bhav, then he will attain either as Queen of Dwarka or Aishwarya Golok, as Vrindavan Vishwanath Chakra Thakur has pointed. So, where is the evidence? Where is the scriptural proof for it? So, Rupa Goswami gives the evidence here. Tata cha Maha Korme. That is a Kurma Puran, Maha Kurma Puran. अग्निपुत्रस् महात्मनस् तपसा श्रितम श्रीत्वम आपिरे भ्राताराम च जगत योनिम वासुदेवम अजम विभु. The saintly sons of Agni has his sons, Agniputra Mahatmana, they were great souls, attained bodies of women, Sritvam Apire, by the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, Tapasa, and attained as their husband, not lover. Bhrataram, the unborn powerful Vasudev. Vasudevam Ajam Vibhu, source of the universe. Jagat Yonim. So here they practiced the path of Vaidhi and attained Krishna as husband, but not as a lover. Tapasa means Vaidhi Bhakti. A different, it's not going, yeah, sorry. A different type of desire from that of the Raganuga Bhaktas is also indicated by mentioning Vaidhi Bhakti. The word Bhrataram, husband, confirms that such persons attained a status like the queens of Dwarka as mentioned previously, Jiva Goswami says. So because they practiced Vaidhi Bhakti, but they attained, they had a conjugal mood, but they could not give up the Aishwarya Bhav. So that's why they attained the status like the queens of Dwarka. Now, next is the elements of practice of Sambandhanuga Bhakti. We have discussed Kamanuga Bhakti, and we have divisions, that is Sambhog Ichamai and Tat Tat Bhava, Tat Tat Bhavatmika. And now we saw that if one doesn't give up the Aishwarya Bhav, then he'll attain the status of a Queen of Dwarka or Golok Aishwarya. So now Kamanuga Bhakti discussion is over. Now Sambandhanuga Bhakti is a small discussion. Very few verses are there now, only 3-4 verses, which we will be discussing tomorrow. Tomorrow we plan to finish this series on the Raganuga Bhakti. Tomorrow we will end this discussion. So any questions, any clarifications anyone has can raise their hands, or they can type in the chat box also. Any questions or clarifications? Okay, so tomorrow probably 90% is the last class. We have only some 320 to 350. Okay, we have some 30 slides, 30-40 slides. So let us see. Tomorrow we will finish this discussion. So thank you very much. शील प्रभुपाद की जय। शील रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय। शील भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु की जय। हरे कृष्ण।